All right, welcome to our video on It's Alive, our student investigation. This is how to complete Student Answer Packet 2. Make sure you also have your initial lab packet with you because you're going to be using it to cite your evidence. Okay, so you need this packet and you also need your original lab packet. All right, let's get started. So you're going to follow along with me filling in the information, using my sentence starters, and completing your packet along with the video. Let's start with our very first one. It says, from the slides you selected, so these are the ones that are in your chart, in your packet on page 4. So this is page 4 of your initial packet. Correctly identify both the living and non-living specimens. So living and non-living. In order to be living, remember they have to have all of those characteristics of life. And that big, big one, think about what it has to be made of, what you need to be able to see. So you're going to list right here the specimens you had that were living and the specimen you had that was non-living. And you can also use that chart we made on page 2 where we listed whether they were living or non-living in order to fill this out. So pause and complete 1A. All right, B, from the slides you've selected, identify the evidence that supports Claim 1. Claim 1 is living things are made of cells and non-living things are not made of cells. So we talked about this. Our evidence are going to be our observations under the microscope. So what observations did you observe? Okay, so let's go through what this sentence should look like. So, the drawings of the. All right, what you're going to write here, you don't need to draw a blank. You need to write in what you used for your living thing. So whatever, pick one of the slides you used for your living thing, and that's what you're going to describe right here. Okay? So the drawings of the, whatever you use for living, show that living things are made of, so living things are made of cells, right? Are made of cells. And the drawing of, and now you're going to fill in your non-living thing, shows that non-living things are not made of cells. Okay? So make sure you have completed 1A and B. And then we can go on to 2A. So this is going to be claim 2. So this is claim 2. So check your chart on page 4 and look at what organisms you used for unicellular and multicellular and list them here. All right, and you just have to list, so you're just writing their names. Then B, from the slides you selected, so these are the ones that you picked on page 4, Identify the evidence that supports claim 2. Some organisms are unicellular, some organisms are multicellular. All right, so let's do this. The drawing of, and this will be your unicellular, whatever you use for your unicellular organism, fill it in, write their name, shows a unicellular organism sorry, don't need that S, because, and then you need to think about, you're not putting the 3 dots, you're telling me what it is that shows that it's a unicellular organism. Think about how many cells it's made up of. The drawing, this is for your other one, the drawing of, and then tell me your multicellular organism, shows a multicellular organism because, and tell me why. What are you seeing that shows it is a multicellular organism, one organism made of many cells? All right, so that finishes claim 2. Let's move on to claim 3. From the slides you selected, so this is claim 3. From the slides you selected on page 4, identify the evidence that supports claim 3. Cells have individual parts that contribute to the function of the cell as a whole. Right? So this is, we're thinking about all of our organelles. And we listed them on the first page of our initial packet, of packet number 1. All right, so the drawing of, and you're going to tell me which slide you used for claim 3. I'll give you a hint. If the slide that you originally picked for claim 3 didn't show cell parts very well, you can choose a different slide to describe the cell parts. That's fine. So the drawing of whatever slide you picked has, and here you're going to list, you're not writing list, you're actually listing the organelles. So list the organelles that you were able to label. If you can't see all of them, that's okay. Just tell me the ones you could see. All right, and then after you've listed all of them, you're going to tell me these individual parts help the cell by, and you're going to tell me some of the functions or jobs of the cell parts you listed. So, what do the parts you're able to identify do for the cell? That's what you're telling me. All right, so that is finishing claim 3. All right, so you're going to flip your paper over and we're going to claim 4, which is a multicellular organism is made up of different kinds of cells. So this is one organism, 2 different kinds of cells. So let's check this out. So you're going to describe the 2 cells that you picked. So the organism blank, and it's either the onion or the human, is made up of different types of cells, including, and then list the 2 kinds of cells that you did for your observations. All right. Number 5, it says select 2 cell parts within an animal cell or plant cell and describe how they work together. So you're going to pick 2 cell parts that you know work together. Think about the ones we wrote on page 1 of packet 1. And the important part is how they work together. How do they interact in order to do their job? So it's not just the job of each one, it's how those jobs are tied to each other. All right, number 6. So we have this picture that has red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets labeled. And it says a student makes the claim human blood is not a tissue. Using evidence from the photograph and scientific knowledge about tissues, explain why the student's claim is incorrect. So let's make sure we remember what a tissue is. So I'm going to make a little note right over here. A tissue is a group of cells that work together okay? And it's to do a job. So an example might be a group of skin cells that are all working together to protect the body. So, looking at this picture, I have red blood cells, white blood cells, platelets. So these are all examples of blood cells. So think, if I have a group of blood cells, do they work together to do jobs in the body? So that's what you want to think about. So give evidence from the picture, tell me what you see, and tell me what you know about tissues, groups of cells working together, and explain why the student's claim is incorrect. So the student's claim is incorrect because, and then give me evidence from the picture and what you know about tissues. Right, on to page 3. This says, under the microscope, in the photograph below, a magnified image of an object viewed under a microscope is shown. So the first thing it asks, is this object living or non-living? So you're going to give me that answer. And then you're going to describe what you see in the picture that helps support your choice. So the picture shows, and tell me what you see in the picture. What is in here that shows you it is living? Think about what these things are that shows me whether it's living or non-living. So tell me what you think it shows, which makes me think it is and then you're going to tell me, is it living or non-living? Non-living or living? You tell me. Thing. Then you're going to say, is it unicellular or multicellular? So give me that answer here. And then you're going to tell me what you see in the picture that supports that choice. So the picture shows, And then you're going to tell me what you see in the picture that supports whether it's unicellular or multicellular. And then C says identify the evidence that shows the object is cellular with distinguishable parts. Distinguishable parts. This is the organelles inside the cell that contribute to the overall function of the cells. So what you're doing here is you're telling me which parts or organelles, like the nucleus, cytoplasm, etc., do you see, and what do these parts do? All right, so we have D. D is still referring to that previous picture. It says, what evidence shows the object is made of different kinds of cells? So you're telling me what you see in the picture. So the picture shows, and then tell me how you know there are different types of cells. Think about comparing the onion root tip with onion skin, or comparing the muscle cells with the skin cells with the nerve cells. How did you know those were different types of cells? Tell me what you see. All right, number 8. We're looking at this picture right here. It says the photograph to the right is an image, magnified image of bacteria viewed under a microscope. So it says if the magnification power of the microscope is increased, explain how the apparent size and quantity of the bacteria observed with a microscope would change. So if magnification power is increased, so think of this, if I say this is low power, what would it look like if I went to high power? What would their size, apparent size? So would they look, would I see more? Sorry, with their apparent size, would they look bigger, smaller, or the same? With the quantity, would I see more of them? Would I see less of them? Or would it look the same? Think about it. If I increase my magnification, what's going to happen? So you're telling me apparent size, bigger, smaller, or the same. Quantity, which is the number. Would I see more of them, less of them, or would it be the same? B. Describe one advantage of observing objects under a higher magnification power compared to lower. What's the benefit of going up to medium or high versus looking at something under low power? And this says, the photograph to the right is a magnified image of a unicellular organism observed with a microscope. The diameter of the field of view is 1.4 millimeters. So a diameter is the distance across the middle of a circle, right? Mr. Seedorf or Mr. Gennaro will be very happy if we know that. So you're going to determine the length of this unicellular organism, and you're going to show your work. Okay, so let's make sure we understand. So they're saying the diameter, so across the whole center part, this total distance is 1.4 millimeters. I want to know what is the size approximately of just this organism. You're going to give your best estimate. And you need to show me mathematically. So show your math on how you figured out this answer. Okay? All right. When you finish, you're going to be stapling your first packet to your second packet and turning it into the drawer.